Hey guys, Owen2633 here, and today I just want to talk about Final Fantasy XIV. So, as many of you are probably aware, I have played Destiny 2 for a long while, and I got really good at it. Well, not really. I got decent at it. I wasn't on like the level of YouTubers like Data or Astacross. Um, but I did get a good sense of the game. I understood its mechanics. I had a lot of fun playing it. I turned into like buying a buying all the expansions. I own all of them, even Final Shape. But recently, with the whole Bungie layoff stuff and Pete Parsons spending like what $2.4 million on cars after laying off 200 workers, it's left a bad taste in my mouth with Bungie, and I've recently been looking for games to swap over to get my online game fix, and I stumbled upon FF14. So I'm a massive Final Fantasy fan. I own way too many. I don't own all the mainline games, and I won't get into it, but I have sunk so many hours into the FF series, and Final Fantasy XIV has that amazing free trial. And I'm not, don't worry, I'm not gonna say the meme. But it really, it caught my attention, and I have kind of been maining it for 60 hours now. And I'm like 60% done the first, like the base game story. But anyway, that's not the point. The point of this video is if you are frustrated with Bungie like I have been, and you're kind of losing steam for Destiny 2, and even though Final Shape was amazing, you are just kind of wanting to retire, which is what I'm saying I've done. And this video is just to say what Final Fantasy XIV is like for a Destiny 2 player, and if you should swap over to it too. So, without further ado, let's begin. FF14 and Destiny 2 are two very different games. So, as you're probably aware, Destiny 2 is a looter shooter, which means it's a shooter game with role-playing game mechanics, such as gear rarity, boss fights, progression systems like leveling, lots of grinding, and then your standard stuff like dungeons and raids. Final Fantasy XIV is an MMORPG, and for those of you who don't know what an MMORPG is, that means massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Basically, an MMORPG is a ginormous online game that supports hundreds, if not thousands of players in one server. So that means you are going to be walking through a world filled to the brim with all sorts of other players. While in Destiny 2, you can only really see other players in open world areas like the Tower or Nessus, the first planet that comes to mind. But this is like that on a whole new scale. Destiny, to me, it feels like a game where it just feels like you kind of meet people from time to time. We don't really have any interactions with them. You just pass by them and they kind of just pop right out of your head. In Final Fantasy XIV, all the players make it feel like a living world. It feels, as I said, living. Everybody you see is a player, besides NPCs, of course. And the community is so friendly. Like, you'll just have, let's say you're just grinding XP. You're running around, killing enemies, just doing your thing. You stumble upon a fate, which would be the equivalent of Destiny's public events, and you're just fighting the fate boss. Some guy who's like level 100 will just pull up, one-tap the boss, wave to you, then run off. People are so friendly in this game, and that's a reason why I went to it. Destiny 2 has always kind of had this, I don't really want to say it's all toxic, because it's certainly not. I founded my clan upon being a place for positivity, and it stayed really positive, but things like LFG can get really, really toxic. You can just get kicked for no reason. You do all the mechanics for raid and just get flicked away when the loot comes. It's all just like, it's not a scene I want to be in. But FF14, I have been in Discord servers for it, and it's just, you can ask the dumbest question possible and these people will not laugh at you. Like, they will answer it, they'll say that your ignorance is totally fine, and it's just really nice to be in. But talking more about the gameplay, it's obviously going to be different. So Final Fantasy XIV works on an auto attack system, meaning when you lock onto an enemy, your character is going to draw their weapon and start attacking on their own in, like, let's say every 15 seconds, I'd like to say. And this gives you time to use your hotbar. Well, you know what a hotbar is. This allows you to use all your skills for combat. You, on PlayStation, like, where's my controller? You'd hold down, like, R2, and then you'd start selecting your buttons that correlate to your skills. I don't really know how to explain it. The gameplay, if you pay attention to the gameplay in the background, you'll be able to see what I mean. The whole game revolves around skills, and most of your time in the game is going to be grinding for levels to get new skills to use in battle. Where in Destiny, you're going to be grinding for guns to shoot aliens with. And next up, let's just talk about the loot. Loot is probably the biggest reason why people play Destiny 2. I enjoy the story, but I'm honest. In all honesty, I play Destiny for the dopamine spikes. I love the feeling of getting a loot drop and seeing the legendaries, seeing the exotics. Like, it really pumps you up and gets you going. And the prospect of getting a god roll, like getting that Fatebringer, Explosive Payload, Firefly, which has eluded me for a while now, just feels so good. And unfortunately, you're not going to get that feeling in Final Fantasy XIV. As I said, Final Fantasy XIV is a game about your skills. Most of your grinding is going to be for levels to get new skills to put into, like, combos for Disciples of War, which are people who use melee combat. Disciples of Magic, you're going to be getting new spells, and if you're a DPS, you're going to be getting stuff to do better damage. If you're a tank, you're going to be aggro grabbing more. If you're healing, you're going to get more healing skills. It's all about skills in the game, and your gear is just to boost your base stats alongside boosting your attack, your defense, all that kind of stuff. So most of your grinding for gear is just gonna be like stuff for your class that's gonna boost your attack by like 5. And there's no random rolls on gear, which is a big draw for Destiny, of course. And when you get a piece of gear, you're always going to have that piece of gear. If you go back into a dungeon, open a chest, and you get the same piece, it's just going to tell you, oop, you already have this piece of gear, you can't get it again, and then it's going to give you nothing. So if you're thinking that you want to play this game for loot, then you're going to be disappointed. I'm sorry. But if you're just wanting a game that you can casually play, there is so much to do in this game. Like, as I said, I'm on the free trial. I am probably never going to pay for the subscription. And there's so much to do. You can, in the free trial, you get 3 whole campaigns. You get the base game of Realm Reborn, you get Heaven's Word, and then you get Stormblood. I swear this is not a paid advertisement. You get to go up to level 70. You get to unlock all the classes from from the base game and the 2 expansions. And then you also get practically all of the Disciples of Hand and the Land, which are classes that pertain to crafting and gathering and cooking and just all your stuff that's going to give you like boosts and bonuses. Like, let's say you craft yourself a really good piece of gear, that's going to be better than a piece of gear you get like out of a dungeon. And these are all optional stuff, you don't have to. I really haven't dabbled around too much in it because I'm just trying to get to Heaven's Word so I can get Machinist, which is, I probably butchered the name, but whatever. I just really want it because it's a gunslinger class, and based on my hours in Destiny 2, I do like shooting baddies. And wow, I lost my train of thought. um, if you can't tell, I don't use scripts. It's just there's so much stuff to do. You're always going to have something to do in this game, and it doesn't feel like Destiny 2, where you're gonna open up your navigator and be like, okay, what do I want to do? There's too much stuff, and there's so much of FF14 that can be done solo. Like, if you're someone like me who prefers to just spend his time gaming, like, just by himself or yourself, just keeping it chill, keeping it quiet, like, just doing your thing, this game is for you. The main story dungeons, you can have NPC allies in them to complete them. Crafting and gathering, you can do that all by yourself. It's really relaxing if you just put on an audiobook or a YouTube video or music and you just kind of zone out while you're going back and forth. Like, I love fishing in this game. It is so relaxing. And then the story is actually really good. As I said, I'm only 60% done Realm Reborn, and there are 247 main quests. So if you're thinking like, oh, base game is gonna be like Destiny 2 where it's a 3-step quest, no, you're going to be thrown into a massive world with so much lore, and it starts off kind of slow, but it does get better. It picks up, and I don't have much else to say. I was just wanting to say what's on my mind. Oh yeah, speaking of the story, if you are not the type of person who likes to read a lot of dialogue, stay away from this game. There is very little voice acting in this game. The newest expansion, Dawn Trail, it introduced voice acting, but just for that game. Like, there's some important cutscenes that do have voice acting, and it's pretty good. There are some characters who it doesn't sound natural. I don't really know how to describe it. It sounds like someone's reading off a piece of paper. But it's acceptable. Yeah, but most of the game is gonna be your internal voice reading off dialogue. So if you don't like a lot of reading, just stay away from this game. But if you're looking for a substitute for an online game with tons of content, some very in-depth lore, so a lot of like skill use and pretty addictive combat, because it can throw you off at first if you're expecting like an action game where you have to like click square, triangle, circle, and all sorts of different combos. It can throw you off. It definitely took a little bit of getting used to on my behalf, but the skills, once you get a lot of them, you can really start stringing combos together, and it really all starts making sense, especially if you play a melee class like I do. I'm a Dragoon right now. And what was that fourth thing I was gonna say? But basically, if you're just looking for an incredibly in-depth experience with a lot of love put into it, and you don't even have to buy an expansion if you don't want to, there's so much stuff to do. If you're looking for all those things as a substitute for Destiny 2, by all means, download FF14, try out the free trial. It is worth it. It's 100% free. This is not a paid for ad. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. As I said, I was just kind of going off the top of my head for this. I wanted this to feel more natural. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next one.